Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
When I studied Matthew a few years ago, I read about Jesus cleansing the temple in Jerusalem. But did you know that he did that twice? In fact, God showed his authority in judgment on the Jewish religious establishment 3 times in a short period. Once at the beginning of Jesus' ministry in John 2, later recorded in the Synoptic Gospels at the end of his ministry, just before he was crucified, and a few decades later, in 70 AD, when God sent the Romans to completely destroy the temple, with not one stone left on top of another. Jesus began and ended his ministry at Passover, cleansing the temple. I wanted to discuss that first time today, from John 2:13 through 16. This occurred just after Jesus' first miracle of turning water into wine in Cana. The passage starts out by saying, "Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand." Notice it said it was the Jews' Passover, not God's. It was just a ritual for many Jews. As Isaiah wrote, "These people draw near to me with their mouths and honor me with their lips, but have removed their hearts far from me." Jesus arrived to find people selling oxen, sheep, and doves, and the money changers doing business right inside the temple. Considering at that time, historians estimate 265,000 lambs were slaughtered each year just for Passover, and over 1 million people crowded into the city. You can imagine the chaos. Jesus could have found a soapbox, if they had that sort of thing back then, and started accusing them from Isaiah 1:11 through 16 that says, "I do not delight in the blood of bulls or lambs or goats. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hates. I will hide my face from you. I will not hear your prayers. Wash yourselves, make yourself clean. Put away the evil doings from before my eyes." But instead, Jesus purposefully sat down and started braiding some cords into a whip. I'm sure his disciples wondered what he was doing, if they noticed with all that was going on around them. Then Jesus herded all of those selling the animals out of the temple, overturned the tables, money flying everywhere, and he was yelling, "Don't make my Father's house a marketplace." That's one way to announce that he was the Messiah, the Son of God. He claimed authority over the most sacred spot on earth. This wasn't what the Jews expected of their Messiah. They thought he would attack the Romans and drive them out. Instead, he was attacking the Jewish religion and driving them out of the temple. This was their first clue that he hadn't come to free them from Rome, but from their own religious system. And notice no one lifted a finger to stop him. The temple police didn't interfere. The Romans didn't send a cohort to quell the chaos. They just all stood there and let him do it, like they were rendered powerless. Because they were. Jesus was actually partially fulfilling a prophecy from Malachi 3 as a sneak peek of what he will do in his second coming. It says, "Then the Lord you are seeking will suddenly come to his temple, the messenger of the covenant, whom you look for so eagerly." That sure sounds like Jesus. But it continues. "But who will be able to endure it when he comes? Who will be able to stand and face him when he appears? For he will be like a blazing fire that refines metal, or like strong soap that bleaches clothes." It goes on to talk about his judgment his second coming will bring. Just as in this incident, no one will have power over him when he judges. Of course, there's no temple in Jerusalem anymore, but we are now his temple, each of us personally. Do we have too much going on inside that distracts us from worshiping God as we should? Then we need to drive it out. Make room in our holy place and in our day for worship and time just getting to know the Lord. According to Ephesians 2:20 through 22, all believers together make up God's church, becoming a holy temple for the Lord. And as 2 Peter 4:17 says, judgment must begin with God's household first. What do we need to change corporately that would help us focus on the Lord? What extraneous stuff do our churches work so hard on when we could just be focusing on worshiping God like He wants us to?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.